Hey everybody, it's Jimmy and Bill. So today's video is about a little bit about Florida, because it's about how much do you need to make to buy in Florida. So it's not like it used to be. Things got pretty expensive. So now what we're going to do is Redfin came out with this article. So we might refer to the article a little bit because they put a little chart in there, and I'll try to put the chart inside the video so you can see. But people have to make kind of a lot of money to buy, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not one income households anymore.
Right, that's going to be a little tough, to be honest with you. You know, trying to get the median price point just in our area, or, you know, even I think the article was about, you know, statewide, but it's going to be tough for a single, you know, earner, depending on how much you're making, to be able to afford, you know, a lifestyle, you know, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, just on your property, much less food, car insurance, things of that nature.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if you do me a favor, if you like these kind of videos, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel and it's greatly appreciated. So, all right, let me get started. So basically, according to Redfin, buyers must earn $114,627 to afford a median-priced U.S. home. That's up 15%, basically $15,285 from a year ago.
That sounds about right.
So their income basically has to go up from last year, but you know that salaries didn't go up that much.
No, absolutely not. You know, those numbers sound about right because we had such massive growth, you know, that growth surge over the last couple of years, you know, with property equity gains due to the demand and everything. And this is what the byproduct of that is. That was great, you know, the average property values went up, but incomes didn't keep up with property values. So that's where we have these problems, and more people can't, there's what they say, quote, unaffordable housing for the median income earners, which is most people.
Well, since the pandemic, you know, it's interesting. People made more money off the gains of equity in their houses than they did salary-wise.
Yes, absolutely.
So just by owning a house,
you made more money than you did in your salary.
Well, technically,
during that period.
Technically, you don't make anything until you sell it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're sitting on equity. We did the video. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but you know, it's 30 some odd %, you know, are sitting on 50% more or 50% or more equity in your house.
Yeah,
50% of your equity in your house. That's a great number.
I also read an article saying that banks in some areas of the country, because equity is going down in the houses, so what's happening is, say you took out $100,000 equity line, and now the values go down, and you just used 50,000 of it. On some of the banks, what they're doing is they're reducing that equity line from 100,000 to 50,000. So now you're maxed out.
Because they took out an equity line, right? So they haven't taken the money off just yet. But yeah, because in that particular area, the house isn't worth as much anymore. So they've reduced, because they got to keep their margins.
Right. So what's happening is the banks are getting nervous, and they're like, or some people, you know, take out equity line and just don't use it. They want it there for emergencies, and the banks are shutting those down.
Right, because the banks don't want to go back into, you know, when we had the housing depression before, where, you know, you were borrowing more money than your house was worth. That's going to put us back into that situation that everybody wants to say, you know, we're heading towards in 2008. If banks start loaning more money than your property or the collateral is worth, we're going to be right back in that boat again, and we do not want that.
Right, so basically, what I was just reading the notes, they said that incomes have risen about 5%. Okay. You know, so from last year, the average income, but at the same time, costs, you know, with everything,
it's exceeding that.
Yeah, exceeding that. So the incomes can't keep up with the cost of everything.
Right. Right, because inflation's through the roof right now. So obviously that 5%-ish bump in your salary is great, but it's just not sustainable at this point. And that's why we need everything to calm.
Right, absolutely. The biggest elephant in the room is basically mortgage rates. I mean, they have skyrocketed. So between interest rates going up, just going up a couple of percent, what a big difference that makes, you know, in mortgage payments.
Oh, it does. It makes a huge difference.
Oh, we're just going to cross the street. Looks like there's going to be a traffic jam here. Here we go. So now the interest rates, you know, what, 7.5? I'm not 100% sure what the rates
are.
are.
Fluctuating. You know, interest rates change. I've never seen people, you know, we have to stay on top of it now. It always fluctuates day to day, and it will always fluctuate day to day. But now we have these crazy swings, and those little bit of fluctuations can really push somebody's debt to income ratio out of whack.
You know, a 1% rate jump can be thousands.
Yeah, that's not a normal thing. This is a very abnormal, you know, a couple, you know, percentile, you know, tenths of a percent up and down daily is normal, not a percent going all the way up. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I had 2 cancellations last week strictly because of the mortgage.
Right.
They didn't lock in the rate for some reason. I don't know why. I guess the loan officer told them don't lock in, it's going to go down, but he was wrong. But they went from qualifying to not qualifying.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's starting to happen a lot. You know, I've heard that. I hear from you, other inspectors, you know, different agents in the office and things like that. I hear it's happening too much now. The people that are on that teeter-totter of their debt to income are unfortunately losing out.
Yeah, I'm not a loan officer, but you know, if I was getting a mortgage, what I would do is I would lock in the rate personally.
Yeah, ask your mortgage provider if they have you know, the ability to lock in the rate. Usually there's a fee for that. And then make sure that you ask them if that fee can be either refunded or rolled into your closing cost fees and prepaids if you don't use it. You know, if you don't take the option for the rate buy down, or excuse me, not the rate buy, for the rate lock in. So just make sure that you ask about it and do yourself a favor. It's just a question. It's a good question to ask, and it could possibly.
Everything's so loud around here.
Yeah. Well, they have to, you know, it's a drag strip.
It's a 20-mile-an-hour road.
Yeah. We're in a neighborhood, but we're going to go 70.
Yeah.
So just do yourself a favor. Ask your loan officer, you know, about locking in the rate, even if it does cost you a little bit of money and you don't use it. But a lot of times they will, you know, roll it in and give you some credit.
Yeah, because deals are actually dying because of the interest rates.
Right, because if you're normally on a rate lock-in, if they go down, they go down. It just protects you from them going up.
Right.
And then if they go down and you choose to do the go down, that's where the fee kicks in.
Yeah, and another thing that, you know, things are getting crazy out of hand is it's still homeowners insurance.
That's a broken record. It's like,
I mean, we did so many videos on insurance that you guys could look at them and read them. I mean,
we just got some insurance quotes in the office today for some customers that I'm working with, and they're getting a little bit better, but they're also not buying properties on the water in these high risk zones. You know, so they're staying out of the flood zones. They're, you know, even staying out of the, you know, the moderate flood zones, and they're just focusing more inland and away from the water.
So what, I mean, you're telling your clients, I think you're one of the few real estate agents that tell your clients, don't worry about the taxes, we can figure that out easily.
Taxes are secondary, let's look at insurance. And during the inspection period, I'm on the phone. I've got some great relationships with insurance providers that are turning quotes around quickly because they're gonna need, you know, the 4-point in the wind, but they're
insurance inspections.
Yeah, because they need them to give you your really, really good quote, but we're getting those turned around quickly so that during your inspection period where you have the ability to withdraw from the contract, you're getting a real life idea of what you're gonna pay.
So basically, that's why you have to make so much money. It's just because, and we're gonna go over some stats in a second of what the average income that you need to make for certain areas in Florida, but you don't know about the insurance going up, the property taxes, because the taxes in Florida Explain that. It could be $2,000 for somebody that's been living there for 15 years.
Right. So when you buy your property, let's say you bought a house 20 years ago, your property taxes are going to go up little by little incrementally over that 20-year period.
And this is based on Florida.
Right.
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida.
Now we have Save Our Homes here, so they can't increase more than 3% in any given year.
Mm-hmm.
We have homestead exemptions because it's your primary residence. That'll save you a little bit on your property taxes. So let's say 20 years, the customer sells their house 20 years down the road. You see the tax bill, which is part of the disclosure. And because we pay taxes in the rears, it's the taxes from the previous year. And it says $2,000 as an example. And then you get your tax estimate in the mail a couple months later, and you're paying $5,000. And that's a shock to you. And this is another reason why we go through all these and work real numbers on what your taxes will be, because you're gonna pay on what the assessed value is today, not what the value was 20 years ago.
So Bill, do me a favor. Since you have to make so much money to buy a single family standalone house, what are some other options you could suggest as a realtor?
Right. Buyers, particularly like first-time home buyers, just you have to work with an agent that could help you explore other avenues and other options. Townhouses, condos, smaller homes. Sometimes just moving a mile down the street can save you thousands. I think I mentioned it in a video the other day. Mm-hmm. We went 5 miles down the street to a different community, same exact house, but it saved almost $10,000 because it was a new construction.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Because that builder was running a special in that specific development and not in the other one.
Now, was it a single family house?
That was a townhouse.
That was a townhouse.
Yeah. You have to take into consideration and weigh the HOA fees and CDD fees if you have those. But at the end of the day, it was still a significant amount of money less with that.
So according to Redfin, okay, I'm going to put the thing on the top. Bill, you can read off some of them. Tampa, you need about 103, 104,000 to buy a house. So the medium priced house, and Bill, you're the realtor, ask me, tell me if this sounds right. $379,900.
That's about right. Yeah, that's our median price point, depending on where you're at. Again, these are medians, which means it's the middle of the road, 50-50 split down the middle. So a little bit higher, a little bit less.
So the average mortgage payment is $2,590.
Mm-hmm.
That's an annual income requirement that jumped 17.3%.
Right, year over year. That's what the change is because of the interest rates that went up. That's the big contributor, coupled with the mass equity growth that we had over the last 2 to 3 years.
I mean, we won't go through all of them, but go over Miami.
Yeah, Miami. The median price point is $525,000. The median, again, back into the middle, monthly payment is $3,580, which is a 33.4% increase year over year from last year.
So you need you need to make about $143,000.
Yep.
In order to buy a house in Miami.
Right.
So that's crazy. Try paying that. If you pay that in cash, it would kill you. Say that.
Right.
It's just
hand that out every.
All right. What's the cheapest one we got on this list right here? We got
the least expensive was
Cape Coral. No, that's
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. All right, go over Jacksonville.
Just barely. So Lakeland and Jacksonville, actually. Lakeland is the least expensive. So the median in Lakeland is $325,000 with a monthly payment of $2,216, which is a 13.4% increase. And they're saying in Lakeland you got to make about $88,000 a year.
And in Jacksonville you got to make just under $100,000.
Right, with a 15.2% and a $2,489 monthly.
It blows me away. I mean, that's a lot of money, especially, remember we did a video talking to people saying people can't find employees because the employees can't afford to live in that area where the job is.
Right, and they have to drive, the commute's longer, so then maybe you got to pay higher wages to get them a little bit higher wage just to entice them to kind of drive. Yeah, I've heard people, some of these companies having to do things like that, a little bit more of an hourly rate because they can't get enough employees because they just flat out can't live in the area that they're servicing.
Like I told you about the Taco Bell in my area, that they closed the inside restaurant because they couldn't find employees, and they stated, like, we can't find anybody to work inside.
Yeah.
So just the drive-thru is open.
Yep, I remember that. I remember that. Because it's not because, the employment is so great or bad. It's just, why would you drive 30, 40 minutes with gas prices high, all that stuff, to go work somewhere? And it doesn't matter whether it's Taco Bell, at a hotel, a tech job. It just doesn't matter. It's you have to, everybody is crunching numbers and pinching the pennies right now.
That's why I think, guys, girls, I think Bill's right. If that income is too much to make and you don't want to make those payments, consider a townhouse and a condo. Like in my neighborhood, from what I see, the average house is between 500, 600,000, but you go right down the street and buy a townhouse cheaper.
Absolutely. And don't think that if, this report says I don't make $105,000 a year, combined household income, that you can't purchase a home. That's not what that report is saying at all.
No.
It's literally just giving you some food for thought, because that's not taking into consideration
your debt
to income ratio. How much are you going to put down on the property? Did you buy any interest rates down?
Did you buy a car with a $1,500 car payment?
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. There's just so many factors. So don't think, oh, I have to. They just they pulled some data. They looked at the median, and this is what you need to make, taking an average of the expenditures in that generalized area.
Yeah.
That's why moving to maybe just literally moving one city over, and for us, that's not a big deal. That's, 5 miles.
Yeah, but in some areas,
they're huge, but like, you just have to start thinking outside the box and work with a professional that can help you make those decisions and can kind of guide you, and you can explore.
Yeah, a quick example, then we'll cut it short. Like, I met a couple, and they just want to buy a house, and they're in a place called Zephyr Hills. Okay, right next to it, pretty much attached to it, is Wesley Chapel.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have to stay to get their price range that they need. Zephyr Hills, which is, what is it, 3 mile difference?
Yeah, 3, maybe 5, depending on where you're going in Zephyr Hills. Yeah,
it's crazy.
But you're talking a median price point difference between 250,000 and 550,000
for 5 miles.
For 5 miles, and 5 miles is not that far, especially out there. It's not as congested, and the roads aren't as small. So that's where I'm saying it's important to weigh out some options, because 5 minutes saved hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, so if you're looking to buy, my suggestion is talk to a professional, a realtor, a real estate associate, or whatever, broker. I know you were talking about the name realtor.
Oh, realtor, because realtor is an actual trade name.
Yeah, it's a trade name.
Yeah, it's a membership name. Yeah.
Yeah, so talk to them, and if you pick an area, maybe there's an area that's a few miles right down the street, and then look at the medium price house in that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's only 3 or 4 miles, maybe it's worth it.
Right.
Anyways, that's today's video. Greatly appreciate it. Like always, thank you, and do me a favor, subscribe.
Appreciate it. See you on the next one.
Bye.